Is echo horrible.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to this edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I have my sister, my wife, awesome lady, Samantha Walker. She will be hosting today. As you can see, I'm traveling and driving. I just want to share my face in the place, and we're gonna have an amazing conversation talking about achievement versus purpose. Sam's gonna break some stuff down for you guys. So this is your opportunity to sharing. What's up, Cheryl? Good morning. And my podcast people, and just a quick introduction. Brother Legacy to the diagonal is Samantha. Up above me is my brother Dwayne Goodson. To my left, right, Pastor Brian Corey. So we appreciate you guys rocking. We're gonna hit this intro. We have a great show. And Sam's gonna take over right after that.
But don't be the meal. You know when you said that? Yeah, don't be the meal.
Experience is the best teacher, but truth is the Holy Spirit is the best teacher.
If you can find the straightest path to the queen that you're supposed to be with, I believe in, and she finds her straightest path to you, and I think it gets away from all those, the skeletons in the closet.
We aim for the wrong thing.
I didn't want to catch that. Good morning. Welcome to another edition. Good morning. What's up, everybody?
Good morning, everyone.
What up, Sam? Am I frozen?
Yes, you are.
You are frozen, sir.
I'm looking at that. My camera's not responding, but y'all can hear me though, right?
You're looking at the
Yes, sir.
turtle. That's that turtle over there in the corner.
All right, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for joining the Brothers of Legacy this morning. Of course, I am not a brother, but I am filling in for my husband as he travels. So, it's going to be a little different. The Sisters of Legacy are invading this morning. But I'm going to let the guys take the lead, and I'm just
integration.
going to, jump in and out a little bit.
I feel like I'm delayed. I'm delayed for some reason.
Oh, are you?
You delayed,
Yeah.
but I'm frozen.
Right.
That's weird. I don't know what's going on, but I'm definitely delayed.
And that's not my best smile either.
All
But
right.
we have issues this morning, but we'll work through it. We're going to press on the upward way.
Yes,
now.
and listen, just blame it on me. I am not AD, and I in no way can do all the things that he do.
But you
But
can't
we-
control speed
So,
of my transmission. That's got to be. I read an article this morning where they were saying that your internet providers intentionally slow down your throughput randomly to prompt you to buy more capacity.
Oh,
wow.
them dirty dogs.
Yeah. And what they're doing is they're preserving the bandwidth for higher paying users.
Okay.
Wow.
That sounds about right. It's always, trying to get some more money out of you. Good morning,
Yeah.
Cheryl. Good morning, Lisa. Mark,
Morning.
good morning. Thanks for joining us. Mama McCory in the building, as AD would say. Good morning.
I got my message from Mama McCrory about 5 seconds ago.
Uh-oh. I'm sorry, Mama. Was I late this morning? And Terry, good morning, sir.
Morning,
I'm
Terry.
sorry, guys. We're going to make it work. So our topic for today is accomplishments versus purpose.
Ooh,
Accomplishments
Yeah.
versus purpose.
that's good.
Thanks, Chris. He said AD never looked so good.
Hey, you didn't have to say that was Chris. I knew that was Chris because Chris always bring a little laughter with him.
Listen, that was great. I am not the morning person. My show is at night for a reason. Um, but here we are. So accomplishments versus purpose. So I did ask, what the general theme he was going for with this topic. So the general thought is a lot of times in life we do things for various reasons. Sometimes it's like everybody in my family went to college, so I'm going to go to college. Sometimes is I think education is best, so I'm going to get a degree. But it's not necessarily in a field that we want to be in indefinitely. It's not always something that we're good at. Sometimes it's just a means to an end. So I think accomplishments versus purpose is sometimes we just do things, and it might be a stepping stone that helps us to discover our true purpose, and sometimes it's in a totally different direction of what our purpose is. Going on what Brothers of Legacy is generally about, I will say the best thing to do is discover your purpose first, even before college, even before, starting new endeavors. Search for your purpose. You'll save yourself a whole lot of time. A lot of times you'll save yourself a whole lot of money and a whole
Heartache.
lot of, right, heartache and disappointment. Good morning, Lady McCory. Thanks
Hey,
for joining
lovely.
us. Dwayne?
Oh no, I no, you probably said the most important piece in my estimation when you simply says no purpose first. Find that beautiful thing about it. Accomplishment, you're right. It's just what we do. It's what we do along the way. Some of our accomplishments are in purpose. Some of them have nothing to do with purpose. Yeah, an accomplishment is just something that you've done. I got accomplishments that have zero to do with my purpose. If I wanted to brag a little bit, I can say I was on the team that helped capture Saddam Hussein, but that had zero to do with my purpose. And that's why for me it gets lost somewhere in the back. Yeah, it was a moment in the glory of my heyday of being in the military, but it has absolutely nothing to do with what God has put me here for. So yeah, you were spot on with that. Accomplishments, things that we do, sometimes they're connected with the purpose, but purpose is that lifelong is God's vision for your life. I think is the best way for me to say it. And sometimes what we do lines up with that. Most of the time we're stumbling and bumbling trying to get there.
We got the
No, I'm appreciating what my brother is saying. I mean, because the topic is so broad, right? Because it's I look at accomplishment and purpose in each individual life. Dwayne said, it could be one and the same, or they could be totally unrelated, right? But it's all about perspective, and it's a relative thing, right? Because there are a lot of things I can accomplish en route to my purpose, which makes all of those achievements part of my purpose. Dwayne, you just said I could brag and talk about being on the team that captured Saddam Hussein. It was a part of my purpose, but it was an accomplishment. But the reality is you are who you are today because of that being in your history.
Right.
Like that perspective.
Right. It helped to carve and create or architect who you are and how you go through life today. Right. So I guess the biggest thing for me is it's probably more of a warning and a drawing of attention and enlightenment than it is anything else, because it's really not a lesson, because you can't measure my accomplishments. What I feel is an accomplishment may not be an accomplishment to you, but it is to me because it's very personal, right? It's like measuring someone else's success. right? The person that's on the street living hand to mouth, but fulfilling a purpose of encouraging people every day on the street could look like a failure to some, but a genius to others.
Right.
Does that make sense? So I think y'all reading more than listening. I believe sometimes your accomplishments may lead you to your purpose. You can tell when folks are listening to you or they're multitasking, right? But that's real though. I mean, to me, I think that my accomplishments in life, while some are unrelated to my purpose in life, is that considered success? Is that considered, what would it be considered if it's not a part of your purpose? I guess that's my question, right? What would it be? How can you not relate your accomplishments to your purpose? That's what I'd like to know.
So
because it's all part of our making. That's what I'm saying. The Bible says all things work together for the good of them who love the Lord or are called according to his purpose. So that means that everything I've done, my accomplishments and my failures, all lead to working out my purpose in the Lord, right? So how can I not relate my accomplishments to purpose? Because who defines your purpose? God does.
God does, absolutely.
Define Dwayne or Samantha's purpose. I can't define AD's purpose, right? Parents try to put purpose in their children, but parents are not God. Parents are designed to be guides, not gods. Right?
Right. Okay. So that's an excellent point. So think about this. A lot of times when kids are growing up, your parents raise you and push you in a general direction. They want you to go to college to be a lawyer. And you in there and you're trying to study law, whatever. And along the way, you might be failing out of classes, whatever, and you're trying to make it stick and it just doesn't. And you wind up coming out of college and you do something totally to the left. And for your parents, I always saw you being a lawyer. They don't see it. But your true purpose was something that was totally unrelated. So I think that's kind of how, in an instance, you may have accomplished that. Fine, you studied law, but it didn't stick because that's not really, what God had in your path. And let me read some of these comments before people. It says sometimes an accomplishment may not actually and you accomplished that, but it's not really a part of God's design for your life. It's just an accomplishment. Dr. Mullins says, I have no idea that God wanted me to advocate for fathers. I knew I was purposed to help, but wasn't clear on how until grad school and state jobs.
Right. So I want to hold that one and go back to the one before that. What was it? You said.
Lady said, sometimes an accomplishment may not actually be related to your purpose.
And before Pastor jump in there, I see what you're saying, sir.
Yeah.
Because you kind of shifted me a little bit. Because initially where I was okay, the fact that I was young and stupid and went over here and had sex with this one girl who ended up putting me in a place mentally and emotionally where I wasn't ready for a relationship. So when I got married, I messed the whole marriage up. That's like a quick reality, right? But the flip side of that is, what did I learn from that? So was when you said that all things work together for the good, when you started talking that talk, I was like, okay, God, I see what he's saying, because now it's like testing. You can horribly fail a test, but it's still part of what you need to get you to the next level. And whatever you got from that situation, you can take to the next level. I was on the same thought process as Lady McCrory, which this right here that I did doesn't line up with who God wants me to be. But you're showing the light that even though it doesn't line up with what God wants you to be or desires for you to be, it helps shape you and put you in a place to you are who God wants you to be now. Am I understanding you right?
Yeah. How can you successfully accomplish the feat of stubbing your toe on the corner of your bed at 3 o'clock in the morning on your way to the bathroom? And in an instant, the pain from stubbing your toe hits your brain from the tip of your toe, instantly gets all the way up to your brain and tells you that was wrong. What am I saying? I'm saying that life is just like all of the interworkings of the body. You have all these things, 75 trillion cells, whatever it is, operating in your body, right? They all serve different purposes, but all of that is to accomplish one thing, and that's to keep you moving, to keep you alive, to keep you functioning. Am I right? And so when I look at this, I was a cheerleader. I did gymnastics as a young child. And I learned how to do a back handspring, and I accomplished that. What in the world does that accomplishment have to do with preaching today? What in the world does that accomplishment have to do with living a career in IT? What did I get from that? I figured out that what seemed impossible, to take my body and contort it in such a way where I can jump backwards and still end up on my feet. That accomplishment way back then helps drive my purpose today when things get topsy-turvy and I'm still able to land on my feet. I can still tie it together. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
All I'm saying to you is you're right. I believe that blowing out a candle, being successful at blowing a candle out on a birthday cake has nothing to do with open heart surgery. Nothing. You accomplished the task of blowing out the candle. That was great. What does that have to do with opening up somebody's heart? You cannot connect those two. Am I right about it? The question is, who decides that blowing the candle out is an accomplishment? And who decides that open heart surgery is your purpose? Who's the judge? Who's the evaluator?
For I alone, says the Lord, I alone knows the plans I have for your life, says the Lord.
So, I think I don't want to skip anybody's statements, but Lady McCrory said accomplishment can be an achievement of a task or a goal that an individual sets. Yeah, I am able to move in certain spaces in my purpose because of my accomplishments, even if they're not directly or specifically related to me. Yes. So see what she says right there? But the question is, she's able to do that. So does that mean that those accomplishments are enablers?
They can be.
Right? Lady says accomplishment can be an achievement for a task or a goal that an individual set. Accomplishment can be a one-time thing and never be accomplished again. I think purpose is greater and continues for absolutely. It's I guess you can liken that to being task-oriented versus project-oriented versus visionary, right? The task is the task, and it's done, and that's it. There's nothing else connected to it. Project is also, project can last a month or a project can last a lifetime, right? Absolutely. Vision sets something that is infinite. So I don't think, Samantha, I don't think we came into this conversation trying to debate. Are we trying to figure out the difference between accomplishment and purpose, or are we just comparing the two?
I'm going to say we're just going to compare the two.
Okay.
And then, maybe offer some clarity, maybe somebody is struggling right now with that too. Is this just an accomplishment, or is this my true purpose? So I think we're just going to compare the two, and hopefully working some time for you guys to give a few examples of how to determine exactly what your purpose is.
Cool.
Cole said, life, just like success, is a journey, not a destination. Part of our
Right.
purpose with God involves the experiences we had leading up to when we realize we're in our purpose.
I like that, Cole.
Richard says, physiology and spirituality are two definitively different things.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So there's a question. Can accomplishments make you complacent because you feel like you're above something?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like to think so. As the two of you guys were going back and forth, this is kind of what I start envisioning in my mind, right? At first I was like, accomplishments are like indicators. They give you an idea of how and where things are going in your life, if you will. If you're 23 years old and you've graduated from college and you graduated cum laude, you got a job, not an internship, lined up. You got an apartment and you got a bicycle and you live in the city. I just listed off a bunch of accomplishments that the average 23-year-old probably is about. I say the average 23-year-old got, right? Am I off base saying the average 23-year-old got that? In our circles.
Again,
In our circles.
It's still relative, right?
Right.
Because there are certain behaviors that come with that age.
True.
Right.
True.
But I still believe that it's almost like every 23-year-old has their own DNA, because literally they do.
Right.
So their behavior is going to be different. I believe my belief is this, and I like what Mello said. Purpose should be something that naturally comes easy to you than others. But Mello, Dr. Rollins would challenge you on that, because Dr. Rollins said she found out after college what her purpose was, and I would expect her to respond with, fulfilling my purpose has been challenging. It did not come easy, right? I knew I was purposed to help. She knew she was purposed to help, but in that particular area was a shift for her. And I believe that it challenged her, right? And I don't think I think it comes easy because she loves her father, but I don't think the task was easy. I believe the task of living her purpose out has been challenging. As with anyone who is trying to fulfill their purpose, I can't expect anybody to be chasing their purpose and it not be rife with challenges and obstacles, right? See, she's uncomfortable still. So I don't think it's something that comes easy to you, but I think it's something that you make a decision that you're going to pursue in spite of, because the joy of fulfillment. Oh yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely. It should be. Yeah. It's got to be a part of your DNA, or it just doesn't work. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
And what I was going with that, Pastor, with that 23-year-old scenario, is these are indicators or short-term goals, if you will. Mm-hmm. Either I think they can be used interchangeably there, but whatever it is you're gonna be, you're gonna do, or you're on your way to being, what you're pursuing, who you're developing. I think that accomplishments are things that we can look at and say, are we on the right track, or are we heading in the right direction? Because you get two 23-year-olds that let's just say God gives them the same purpose. Say we know God gives them the same purpose. They both go to the same college. They both have the same opportunities. Mm-hmm. One of them gets involved with partying a little too hard. Another one pushes partying to the side and hit the books extra hard. One's gonna be on the dean's list. The other one's gonna be on the probation list, almost out of school. So when you look at their accomplishments as they move, all it is an indicator. Hey, I'm in the right space right now, or hey, I need to make an adjustment here to get back to the right space. And like you said earlier, that's one of those things where that's one of the reasons why I love Jeremiah 29:11. The Bible makes it abundantly clear for me. Mm-hmm. That's why I tell people all the time, love your pastor, love your preacher, your bishop, and anybody else. But for I alone know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord. That's why I think pastors are amazing, because when they confirm something, then they have the ability to speak into you, and like most can't. However, you got to know from God what your purpose is, or you will never know what your accomplishments are doing for you. And too many people are messed up later in life, in my opinion, because they don't know their purpose, and they're like walking around in a Stevie Wonder trance.
My daughter came to me the other day. See, Tom Brady won his 7th Super Bowl earlier this month. Does that mean his purpose is to be an award-winning football player, or are those accomplishments this athlete has amassed throughout his career? Tom Brady will tell you himself that he loves playing football. But I think that when you talk to him about his purpose and his accomplishments, I don't think he will even mention football. I would go that far to say that. I think that the accolades and the championships and all that are great, but I believe that when he talks about his purpose, it's not even on the football field. As with LeBron James, right? Now, I would say Michael Jordan, the answer is different. Mm-hmm. I would say that for Michael Jordan, his purpose was the basketball court.
Absolutely.
Because when Michael Jordan talks about his accomplishments, it's basketball. When LeBron James talks about his accomplishments, it's community. And basketball is a tool. It's a resource that he uses to make a difference in his community, right? But LeBron James was raised without a father in the house. Michael Jordan had his mother and father. It came up 2 different ways. My daughter came up to me the other day and she said, Dad, she said, would you be upset if I told you that I wasn't sure what I wanted to do when I grew up, when I got out of college? And I said, absolutely not. Because sometimes you find it in college, you know?
Say that, sir.
Yeah. And so it's important for children not to feel confined to the expectations of their parents. My wife grew up with her mom. Her family called her the family doctor or the family lawyer. And I'm like, well, man, that could confuse a child, right? Because it's one or the other, you know, and it's quite tough to be both. And she ended up neither. She ended up in IT. And now she's a realtor, you know. So when I was young, I'll tell you this. I went to a Catholic school and I was on a speech team, and I despised getting up in front of people talking. I absolutely despised it. I was the last one you would ever think. In fact, we were doing hard to believe. Listen, we were doing a play when I was in the 3rd grade at St. Teresa. My mom is on here. She will tell you. We were doing a play, and our teacher put all the roles. She put them on a piece of paper, tore it up, put them in a hat, and she shook the hat up, and we had to pick our role out of the hat. And I pulled, in the 3rd grade, I pulled the role of Jesus. Okay?
The irony.
Yeah. I looked at it and I'm like, oh, that's the biggest role in the play. And my friend Patrick Grady pulled the role of Peter. I traded Jesus for Peter, the one who betrayed him, in the 3rd grade. Why is that relevant today? Because I have seen that in my life. I've seen that play out, right? And so and here's the thing. When I was on a swim team, my older brother and I were at the YMCA back when the YMCA was the popular place to be. We went through swimming classes, and I'm going somewhere with this, but y'all know I'm a preacher. I'm long-winded. My brother and I were taking swimming lessons at the YMCA, and we got to the point to where we were supposed to put on display for our parents what we learned in swim class. So they invited the parents in, and I'm swimming like a fish, long as nobody's there. When my mother was sitting in the stands, they said, okay, everything that we taught you in the 3 feet, we want you to show your parents in the 5 feet. I'm like, that's not what I was told. When it came time to put it on display, I felt like everything that I accomplished in the 3 feet served no purpose in 5 feet. Hear me now. I sat on the side, my mother, and everybody took off. My brother took off swimming. My brother Mark, who's on here, he took off swimming. And you go from, in swim class, you go from a minnow. These are the classifications. You go from a minnow to a shark. My brother was swimming like a shark. I was on the side like a minnow, looking to be in the shallow water. And I looked up in the stands, and my mother was like, she was mouthing to me like, and I'm like, and I mouthed back to her, right? And my point is,
Cole just made your point for you, I think.
Right, absolutely, Cole. So my point is, just like, and then I grew up loving to swim, can swim anywhere, right? Have surfed in the ocean. I've done all kinds of things, crazy things, in waters that most people wouldn't even go in. But that lack of accomplishment still served a purpose. Here's my point. I traded parts. I traded roles for that play, which I felt like the role of Jesus had nothing to do with my life. Later on, I was on a speech team, and I'll never forget this. I'll never forget this. My first speech competition, my mother gave me a poem to read, Chicago by Carl Sandburg, Hog Butcher for the World, Tool Maker, Stacker of Wheat. I can recite it now. But what people don't know is I was probably the scaredest person in that room. I got second place because I was speaking too fast. How many people know I talk too fast? Today, I have spoken in front of thousands, and I understand my purpose. My question to you, going all the way back then, would you consider me being in that play as Peter an accomplishment? When I gave up the role of Jesus, was that a failure or an accomplishment? Would you consider second place an accomplishment or a failure? Would you connect those to a purpose that I didn't know then, that I do know now? To me, back then, totally unrelated, nothing to do with nothing. I've been around the world in a day, and I know I've probably lost some people on this. They were still accomplishments, and they still fed a purpose that was unknown at the time. Because coming out of high school, I had no idea I'd be a preacher. Coming out of high school, I thought I'd be a soldier. Mm-hmm. Everyone is created with a purpose. We have to seek God and God to help us. Right. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is I feel like, purpose is discovered. And no, yeah, absolutely. But some people grow. Some people are born understanding their purpose, though, Cheryl. Some people are born understanding their purpose. They really are. They know it from the time they start talking. My younger brother said in the third grade that he was going to be an actor. From the third grade, because that was the age where he was old enough to actually begin taking a class. And that's what he's doing today. He's in Hollywood.
I knew mine. I just was scared. And by God, every part of me, 40 was the point where I finally embraced it.
Listen, I'm afraid every week, bro. People who know me personally, my church, Samantha Walker sitting on here can tell you secrets about me that the world doesn't know when I get up to speak, right? They know me because they know me intimately, but she will tell you that there is never a day that I am not nervous about getting up in front of people. But to fulfill your purpose, that's a requirement. If you're going to effectively fulfill your purpose, there has to be some discomfort, right?
And that right there is the rub, sir, because the failure versus success, people on the outside determine failures versus success.
Well, actually,
the answer to that is in the details. Like
yes.
if you would have told us just this in the third grade, I was supposed to play Jesus, but I was a little nervous, so I played Pete and I switched from a boy. If that's all you told us and you left it there, most people would say, yeah, you missed out on a great opportunity to get ahead.
But actually said right there, she said, yeah, but you still showed up. So see, it's all about perspective.
Right. So does honorable mentions and second place trophies have a part? Do they play a part?
They do. They absolutely do. Cole Johnson said, we don't lose in life's battles. Either we win or we learn. There's three things. Either you win, you learn, or you quit. And if you quit, yes, you do lose. Right? That's a fact. But I think that the encouragement, I think that Samantha was trying to get at earlier is motion is necessary, right? The lesson here is no matter where you are, know that everything you're doing right has to be a component, a lever of accomplishing your purpose. You may not understand your purpose today. It may not make sense today, but if you keep moving, it's going to work out. Keep chasing, keep
Absolutely.
working, keep discovering, keep learning, and it's going to come together. Because I think that's the thing. Some people, I think the worst thing that we can do is compare accomplishments like we all have the same purpose.
Say that again, sir.
Right? I think the worst thing that we can do is compare accomplishments as if we all have the same purpose. You lose trying to compare what you've accomplished to what someone else has accomplished. Even if it's someone who's heading in the same direction that you're heading in, it doesn't mean y'all have the same stop. It doesn't mean you have the same goals. That you might be on the same highway, but you're operating in different lanes.
Absolutely.
That's reality. So
that's key.
And I think it's important for us to understand that I never have to compare my accomplishments to someone else's accomplishments because we're serving different purposes. Two doctors in the same class, same medical field, still have two different purposes.
Absolutely.
That's reality. Two preachers in seminary are going to have different purposes, right? Two basketball players, 2 point guards on the basketball court are going to have different purposes. It's just that simple. Two gospel singers, they both sing gospel, but they both sing differently. It's just like our DNA. So if there's encouragement, the encouragement is keep doing what you're doing. And if you're doing nothing, start doing something because movement is necessary. The reason why, I think life is defined as a verb because it cannot be still. It has to keep moving. It has to keep moving. The only time you stop is when it's time to go meet your maker. And then there's really not a stop. There's just a transition to a new life, right? So to me, life is a verb. When a lady said you can fail at something, but that is not failure. Failure is when you don't try and just stop. Yes, keep moving. Yes, keep moving and try something else. Absolutely. And don't compare. Don't compare because your life is your own. It is what you make, you and the Lord together.
That's why horses run with blinders on. That's why because literally horses have the not the ability, but the tendency. Horses have the tendency to look at their left and right as they're moving. So in order for a racehorse to be effective, they have to put the blinders on so they can run their race without distractions. Too often we become distracted by our friends, and you're right, Pastor, because that was me. First of all, I came up knowing who I was supposed to be. That's first of all. Second of all, I made a lot of mistakes or bad decisions along the way. And now while dealing with those decisions, at the time, I didn't see it as learning from a situation. I saw it as disappointment and I saw it as failure. So now I got to deal with those things, right?
Yeah.
And then when I get to that point, I started comparing myself to all of my peers. Well, this guy in high school didn't even know who Jesus was. He's a pastor now. And here I'm over here going to the club tomorrow night. And this dude over here, he can preach, but he's scared of people. And so the whole thing became cluttered. So your path to purpose, you have to write it. You have to find something and define it, because if you don't, you become distracted. If you don't, you become obsessed with failure. Not, okay, what did I actually get out of the situation, or where do I make adjustments? My thing is, when it comes to purpose, you have to have an idea of what it is. And like Cheryl said earlier, generally speaking, it might not have been Cheryl, but generally speaking, your purpose is something that you excel at. Whether you're comfortable in that skin or not, it's something that you generally do excel in. And then when you get into that vein, you got to start defining it. You got to start putting yourself in positions to where you're going to walk. And guess what? You're not always going to know, because sometimes we don't seek God. So when you bump your head over here and mess up in this situation, take a step back, get you some perspective. Okay,
and God, talk to somebody.
Yes.
Get you a mentor, get something, life coach, whatever folks are calling them life coaches today. I don't even like the term, but the reality is that's what people are doing. But I think what's important is that you get someone to talk to. Cole said something. He said there was a quote from someone in athletics. The moment you don't feel an adrenaline rush about something is the day you should walk away from it. The moment you don't feel an adrenaline rush about something is the day you should walk away from it. I think there's truth to that statement, but I also want to encourage people and caution people to make sure that you know the difference between walking away from it altogether and resetting, taking a time out. Because sometimes you lose motivation because you are exhausted, you're overworked. Right,
frustrated,
you're stressed, and you may require a time out, a time away, right? And I've heard athletes say that. So I've heard athletes say, "I lost my motivation." Y'all see what's happening, right? Y'all see?
Give me that money.
Yeah, you see what's happening.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and read some comments while you're taking care of that.
but before you go there, because God will run with you, God. Yeah, hold it. Keep Deacon Rollins' message up there. What I was going to say is, I have also in ministry, I have interacted with people, quote unquote, people of God, who proclaim to be people of God, who do not make ministry attractive. Right? They've been in ministry. I've been in ministry 30 years. And my perception of that person is, in 30 years, I don't want to look like you. You don't make ministry attractive. You're part of the reason we struggle to get people into the church. Right? And that's someone who probably needed a revival years ago, or someone who should have sat down.
Needed that time out. So,
yeah, get yourself a time, because you continue to move forward, right? And you're stressed, you're strained, and you bleed on people. That's what happens, right? And so you have to be careful that in your pursuit of purpose that you understand what a timeout is. Because if you don't take those moments, you can not only will you not fulfill your purpose, but you will negatively impact others chasing their purpose. Right? So know the difference between walking away and resetting. Get you a revival. Right? Now you can go to I think Deacon Rollins, Sean Rollins was saying something. God will run with you. God will walk with you. Keep moving unless God tell you to be still and wait for the next instructions. Yeah, absolutely. 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 But you you have to be available.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You got to have that relationship.
Yeah, to hear the voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be available for that. And that's why and that's so key. It's such a profound statement, but man, what happens when the noise of life is so loud that you can't even hear God speaking? And that's why you have to have coaches, people in your life that will push you and communicate, and you can be in fellowship with someone that speaks positively into your life, because you said it earlier, Dwayne, that pastors are leaders, spiritual leaders are important. Our purpose is to help you turn the volume of life down.
Sir,
right?
Let me stop you right there real quick. I remember homecoming. I was decent. I was better than decent. I had a name in town when it came to football. 15,000 fans in high school cheering homecoming, but I could always hear my coach over the crowd. I mean, they were screaming, but the crowd was screaming louder, but I could always hear my coach over the crowd.
Right.
And what you're saying is that relationship that I built with the coach. That's the type relationship we have to have built with God, because the crowd is going to scream. It's going to be 4th down and 1, and you got 45 seconds left in the game, and you get it, you win, and you don't get it, it's over. Right. And the coach identifies something on the line that needs to make an adjustment, needs to be made. If you don't hear the coach, if you can't make that adjustment, what happens is play's over, game over. AD's in the building.
What's up, gentlemen? What's up?
AD.
How's it going, guys?
Welcome. Father, we thank you for safe passage, safe travel, for taking every obstruction out of his path, bringing him home safe and sound in Jesus' name.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
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 You
Amen.
like hey, cup of coffee, brother?
Coach is here.
I've been listening sparingly, and I know I put accomplishments first, purpose, because sometimes and I dig what you guys have been saying as far as accomplishment kind of are some of the stepping stones into your purpose. You do certain things, and like you said, you get the story when you were younger and you took Peter instead of Jesus. That's different. They updated something. Okay. Anyway, so but I was thinking about and talking about, when you're watching somebody else's lane, sometimes you feel like you got to go through the same accomplishments in order to get to the same space. Like I have to, like with Dr. Rollins, I have to do exactly what she did in order to be in the same space. Sometimes you don't necessarily have to do it that way, and I think people get so focused on the accomplishments of others that they feel like this is what I have to do in order to get to this purpose. Yes. And sitting out this for this topic, it was like 2 a.m. So the brain wasn't kicked into high gear all the way.
The topic is fire, bro, because you just said something profound, about wanting to do what she did to get to where she is. The danger in that is, it's like you want to be a professional athlete, then work hard because they work hard. Right. But it doesn't mean going to the gym and shooting 5,000 free throws like this guy did.
Right.
It just means work hard like he worked hard. Right. And like what Dr. Rollins is saying, save you some trouble, because she'll tell you there are things that she did she probably didn't have to do.
Right.
And it's like saying, I want to. One of the greatest lessons I've learned in life is the lesson of, I want to be able to preach like he preaches.
Right.
Come on, sir. Come on, sir.
And what you're asking for is my testimony.
Right.
And I wouldn't wish my experience on anybody for you to get.
Right.
I don't want you to have my testimony because I don't want you to go anywhere near some of the things that I did.
Right.
Right. Pray, seek the Lord's face. Right. But you don't want my testimony.
Right.
You know?
Right.
That's the reality. So that's a valid point that you made.
They want the message, but they don't want the mess.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they want the message, but they overlook the mess. That wrote the message.
Right.
You understand? And so you have to be careful. And I think many people fail trying to do that.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So that's deep. Yeah. I love it.
Y'all you shook me up when you said that too, AD, because I just saw a cul-de-sac in a development, right?
Okay.
You got 20 houses in this development.
Right.
Some of them look similar. They all got roofs, they got garages, they got some doors and windows.
Right.
But the blueprint for each one of them is slightly different.
Right.
Yeah.
All of them got their own nuances, and everybody has their own method. And and as you were saying, clarifying the room when you came, I remember Pastor saying, "Hey, we all got different paths, so you can't look at how I'm doing this and expect to do it this way and get what I got."
Right. Cole said,
think about the fact that LeBron James, like Michael Jordan, was cut. I don't think LeBron James has been cut from a team ever in his life.
Right.
True. But think about this: Michael Jordan never lost in the finals either. Right.
It hit different.
So when you talk about the GOAT, it's like, okay, can you compare LeBron to Mike? When the first time LeBron James lost in the finals, the comparison was over. That's what people will say.
Right.
Go ahead.
Indeed. Cole said, I remember saying to my father when I was 12, I want to be as successful as you, Dad. You know what he said? No, son, don't desire my life. I want you to be more successful than me. Work hard and know that you are greater than I could ever be. Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
That's powerful right there.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Definitely.
My mother taught me how to cook.
Right.
When it came to cooking in the kitchen, I hung out with her and I learned so much from her in the kitchen.
Right.
And I'll never forget, I was cooking a meal that I grew up eating from my mother. And she said to me one day, she said, "How in the world does yours taste better than mine?" Right?
Wow.
Same ingredients.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
But her words were, "How in the world?" One day I was cleaning a chicken. I'll never forget when I got out of the military. I was cleaning some chicken in LA, and she came to the sink while I was cleaning the chicken, and she said, "Boy," yeah, I was grown, and she was still calling me boy.
All right.
Facts.
"Boy, where did you learn to clean a chicken like that?"
Right.
She said, "I never seen anybody clean a chicken." I was like, "Mom, you taught me how to clean a chicken."
Right.
Right?
Right.
To Cole's point, my mother saw improvement in me from the things that she taught me.
Yeah.
So I love what Cole said, because our parents desire us always that we go further than they went.
Right.
The problem you have is when your parents compete with you.
Wow.
Right?
Right.
That can be a detriment.
Yeah. Definitely. Wow.
Hey, Mother Yvonne, welcome.
Oh.
I'm giving a shout out to your son, Mother. Because she shouted him out. Her son knew what to do for Valentine's Day for his mama. He sent his mama some money.
Nice.
Hey, can't go wrong with money.
That's
He
right.
put his picture on social media, like this one right here sent me money.
Right. Nice.
He sent me a couple friends, dead friends.
I just had to insert that real quick.
So you knew us, and it's funny, you know, I always tell my backstory where I got stuff topic from, and I was listening to Stephen Furtick. He's out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and he gave an example of finding your purpose is like Legos, and there's all these pieces scattered, and they all match up to the picture that you want to see to match the box. But it takes your trials and building before you can get what's on the box. And he was saying a lot of times testimony. He said my testimony always starts. I forgot where he said the town. He said I think Mechanicsville. He said the small church where I gave my life to Christ. He said, but what I realized, he said, I'm not really doing my testimony justice. He says, because I had a mother who, before I got to that point, had been praying for me, fasting and seeking, when I was a knucklehead, not listening, doing what I wanted to do. He said, my testimony started back then. And it's those pieces that came together in order to get the picture. Because, he said it's easy to say, yeah, I got saved. And you see, look at me now, but before this point, there's always the stepping stones and the issues and the trials. And I was thinking about the accomplishments. Sometimes we need, like you said, we like Dr. Rollins put, he says, he's like, save some of those roads. You don't have to go. He's like, I've taken unnecessary steps to get here, thinking that was what I was supposed to do. And you're thinking, this is exactly what I need to do to get to this position. And people get excited about, oh, I got this certificate, or I need to get this, and I need to get this, and I need to get this, and looking for a level of validation. That could be a whole other topic. Looking for a level of validation with accomplishments in order for my purpose to be fulfilled. Yeah. And that's where I was like, yeah, accomplishments and purpose, because we get confused and because we all like to accomplish them. We like to pass a test, like even just simple stuff. Even as at work, you're like, ooh, I passed the test, so I got this right. Like just little stepping stones just to kind of get excited. He said, and she said, what's the unnecessary steps for you, necessary for me? Okay.
Ooh, that's deep right there. Yeah, because
that's good.
The reality is, engaging and working with African American fathers, strategies and lessons learned would not exist without the unnecessary
steps. Right.
Isn't it? You can use that's a term to be coined right there. Sometimes the unnecessary is absolutely necessary.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yes. Right.
That'll preach.
I'm claiming that.
Look,
that.
Hey, you got to pay her royalties now.
Yeah, I do.
Look, that'll preach, that'll write, that'll live. And it's a beautiful thing, because as y'all saying this, and as AD, as you explaining this, the more and more Dr. Miles Monroe just echoes in my mind. And my whole view has shifted, not completely, but what do you call it when, like, on the binoculars, you focus.
Focus. There you go.
Focus. It's become focus. Dr. Miles Monroe says that we should die empty. Mm-hmm. When we leave here, there should be nothing left.
Yes.
Now, as we're talking, and as AD is telling Pastor Furtick's testimony and how he came up with this, I'm seeing accomplishments as you pouring into life, whatever gift that God has placed inside of you. Right. And when there's no gift left to be poured out, right, I think we've run off course. So I think if we reverse engineer it and look back at all the accomplishments, this was our gift beginning to try to make room for us. Now, sometimes we put our gift in bad positions and we learn from it. Right. And it didn't make room for us in that position, right, but it helped us focus and get back on track and make the proper adjustments. Mm-hmm. And then we move to the next place where our gift begins to pour out again.
Right. Yeah.
And then when you find yourself in purpose, Pastor, you pour out your gift on young men who you see some of the things that you saw in you. You start to pour out your gift on the Dr. Rollins of the world. You start to pour out your gifts on your family. And as you pour your gift out, you start to focus your purpose, and your purpose begin to become streamlined and do exactly what it was put here to do. Right. And then we're not here anymore. Right. And then everything that you poured out, those seeds in that water, it begins to fertilize and to impregnate and to grow in multiple other areas because your gift has made room for you and you poured it all out and there's nothing left. So AD, shouts out to you, brother.
Awesome.
I didn't see this coming the full circle route that it started at. But even at the beginning of it, we started to see bits and pieces drop. And then we started to see the focus change. And as the focus changed, it all began to make sense. Felt like Lauryn Hill just now.
Samantha said, "Uh-oh, I done got these folks started."
All right, guys. So, let's see. Cole said that's what maturity is. Dwayne is that agent of focus for us to see things, especially our purpose, more clearly. Definitely. Richard said the spirit of encouragement, the spirit of inspiration. Yes, indeed.
That what Richard just said. Part of your purpose in life should be work until you begin to see your DNA in other people's lives. Right. Not you don't want to see people just do what you do, but you do want to see your DNA as an inspiration, as an improvement to people's lives. I think one of the greatest things that you can ever achieve in life is someone quoting you.
Right.
There's nothing that makes me feel better than when someone says, "Pastor said this."
Right.
Or I heard Brian say this. Or my boy B said this. Or Lil Big Mac said this. Killer B said that. Look, when people quote you, you know you're serving purpose.
Right. Yes, indeed.
That's real.
Yes, indeed.
That's real.
All right.
Yep.
So
again, before we close out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sometimes the unnecessary is absolutely necessary. Brian A. McCrory Sr. Inspired by Dr. Latrice L. Rollins.
Yeah, you remember, you got to give it to her the first time around. It's not yours until the second time you use it. The first time you got to shout out who you got it from.
Right.
S. Rollins, not L. Rollins. S. Rollins. So there you go. Sometimes there you go. That's it. Now you got to take. Well, I like Steps. Steps is cool. So you're trying to get the credit. See?
Yeah, a little bit. I needed a little executive producer credits right there.
Look, in New York, he be biting. He
stole that, son. Hey, listen here, B. Hey, yo, listen here, B. I'm saying, son. Your wife said something earlier. You know what I mean, guys. Look, your wife said that she still might be a lawyer just in real estate. You're gonna need it if you're trying to steal his phrase. You know what I'm saying?
It ain't over. Right. Hey, life is a verb. Keep it moving. Right. Life is a verb. That's me.
Says cite your source. All right, guys.
If you want to know the expert, if you want to see the example of citing source, read Engaging.
Yes.
This book that Dr. Rollins just wrote. You want to talk about giving us both credit. Whew, Lord have mercy. Humility is key. And Dr. Rollins gave everybody credit.
Yes. Yeah.
If you haven't gotten the book, get the book. Engaging and Working with African American Fathers, Strategies and Lessons Learned. Get the book. Listen, let me tell you something. This book it's inspirational.
Yes.
It's educational. It challenges you.
Right.
It pushes. It does. It is a book that you read, but it's also a book that you study.
Yes, indeed.
That's what it is.
Yes,
and I told Dr. Rollins this. I said it's not the Bible, but it is a Bible of enlightenment for people who want to see another perspective. So
can you hold it up again, AD?
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna put it in the comments here.
Yes.
You got to get this book. It will change what you think. It'll change how you think. Engaging and Working with African American Fathers, Strategies and Lessons Learned. Strategies and Lessons Learned. All right. I'm telling you, this book will change your life. I don't care whether you came up in a 2-parent household. I don't care whether you came up in a single-parent household with a single father or a single mother. I don't care if you just know someone who was a single parent. What I'm saying to you is They cover so many different environments, situations in this book. It is absolutely and listen, don't go into this book thinking you're getting ready to read a novel.
Right.
Go into this book looking to be enlightened and educated.
Right.
Set that expectation.
Right. Oh, I didn't get on.
Fantastic.
That's
Yes, sir.
Periscope.
Let's
Periscope.
see, hold on. There you go. YouTube's better. All right, gentlemen and ladies and peoples watching. I appreciate you guys rocking with us and hanging with us, always sharing and giving. I appreciate those that's been giving, being a blessing to the Brothers of Legacy, and my heart is always made glad that that this thing can happen even when I'm not here. And that's always exciting because it's a momentum going.
It's purpose.
Yes, indeed. Because this is built. Discount. Hold on. Pause.
Let's see. Pay top dollar for this book. Pay the money for the book,
Yes,
people.
Pay the money.
Pay the money.
She's trying to hook y'all up.
Pay the money.
Pay the money. Be a blessing.
Yes.
All right, guys. So listen, two quick program notes. Tonight at 7 p.m. will be Solomon's Temple Christian Ministries Bible study. So
Exodus chapter 2.
Yes, indeed. Exodus. We're going through Exodus.
You want to know how to get out? Tune in
Yes.
tonight.
So you don't need the book.
Thank you, Mama McCory. As well as watch the Sisters of Legacy. You saw my lovely wife here earlier. Make sure you follow her, and they have.
Shout out to Sam for holding it down.
Yes,
Shout out, Sam.
Yes.
Down.
Appreciate you, Sam.
It. Yes, indeed.
Paraclete, the help me.
Yeah, right. There you go, coming through. So we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, same time, same channel, AM, and my face will be in the place. I just had to take some care of some things the last 2 days, but I's back.
Listen,
All right, guys.
And AD, I want to say something. I've never done this
Yes.
before, but I do want to ask people. I want to challenge you all. If you do not have a Bible study tonight, if you are not engaged previously, tune in to Solomon's Temple. I believe either Dr. Rollins, Anthony Walker, Terry Little. Typically, these guys will create a watch party or whatever, but find it tonight. Tune in tonight.
Right. If you're following the BOL page, it'll be on there as well. If you follow the Brother Legacy page, I always post it up there.
And if you know Mama McCory, you're going to get an inbox.
Right. All right, guys. So we look forward to seeing you guys tonight. All right. So take care. Be blessed. Keep pushing. Stay safe. Keep wearing your mask. That we love you, but God loves you more. He has you covered regardless of what it may look like. Take care. I didn't want to catch that. Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Good morning.